In this video podcast, Leilani and I are talking about goals. We are sharing how we identify, plan, and track our personal and professional goals. You will hear from Leilani, who is a rock star when it comes to planning, tracking, and achieving corporate goals. She is heading the project management office at AdventHealth. I apologize for the video and audio quality, but don't let it stop you to extract all the gems from this video. So without any further delay, let's get into the conversation. Do you do New Year resolution or yearly goal or 5-year goal? And how do you execute them?
Yeah, for me, I don't really typically do New Year's resolutions because to me it just seems very cliche. This is some goals should be something you should be evaluating on a regular, continual basis. I actually look at goals on every birthday. So I look at what I've accomplished in my 43rd birthday and reflect upon that and say, okay, so my 44th year or 45th year, this is what I hope to do to improve myself. But regardless of the timing that you do your goals, the intent is always the same. Is that spirit of continuous improvement. How do you this feeling of being very self-aware of your strengths and the areas that you want to improve? But timing for me is usually around the birthday, and from a personal perspective, and then from a professional, if I'm with a team, then I usually look at it towards the end of the year. Like, this is the time of year where I would look in my workplace and the team and the people that I'm working with to reflect back. And the only reason why is because we do annual accountabilities, we do an annual performance or development conversation. So it syncs up with the timing with the rest of the organization. Let's see as a team, what did we do that was well, and what do we want to continue, and where are the things that we're falling short on that we want to improve, and what are those actual steps that we can take to improve. But yeah, I like to look at my own personal goals on around my birthday period, and there'll be things that nurture me from a spiritual, a mental, a physical, and a relationship perspective. Family relationships and spouse relationship, friend relationship, and then obviously professional as well.
So you basically go through different categories of items like financial and health and relationship, and then you set goals for each.
I do. I look at. I'm a firm believer of designing your life path, and looking at your life. Not just, most people just look at where they're at professionally, but looking at your life holistically and what are those things that align to your values. And for me, one of my key values is moderation and mental health, and followed by with that, it's my family, professionals in there as well. But yes, I look at it and I break it up by categories, and I say, how am I doing physically? Do I need to look at improving my diet, or improving my workout and exercise routine? And then I do look at my family relationships. What can I do to make sure that the quality of time that I'm spending with my husband and my son are meaningful, not so much the quantity, because my quantity of time is dedicated to a lot of work and other things. And I do look at professional. Where is it I want to go? Am I doing things that bring me joy? And if not, what is it I need to do to change things? And then financially, I have a financial goal. I want to fire myself. So financial independence, retire early is what it stands for. So I want to do early retirement. So yes, I have a lot of goals, and I revisit it, every year on my birthday, and I do checkpoints throughout the year. Say, hey, where am I at? Am I feeling I'm on track?
Are you looking for a number or the age?
I'm looking at an age. I mean, number has a big part of it too, because there's certain, I think I have a financial advisor, and they tell you, you want to make sure you have certain amount available in your portfolio in order for you to extract upon. But for me, it's really about an age. I'd love to retire 10 years from now, which will put me in my early 50s. That way, and to me, retirement means not just being able to sit at home, but retirement to me means I am financially independent to do whatever it is I want to do. If I want to take a job at Walmart as a greeter, I can do so if I want to. Or if I want to explore being a consultant, I could do that. Or if I want to just do nothing but volunteer work, I can do that too. Just to me, retirement just means I have the freedom to decide whatever it is I want to do next.
Right, right. And sometimes I feel like I want to be a part-time in next few years so that the rest of the time I can use for whatever I want to do, like writing, videos, anything
Exactly.
that I want to do. And ultimately, that side activity may earn me more money, but
Good.
obviously, uh, the freedom to not depend on the work because it's paying money, but because it gives so much excitement on a daily basis.
Exactly. That's my thoughts exactly. That's to me what retirement is there's this side passion that you want to develop, but a lot of times where you're tied to your day job because that's what pays the bills. So you have to focus on that first. But to me, retirement means, okay, well, you know what? I can do whatever I want. If I want to focus on my side passion and let that be 100% of my time, then so be it.
And somebody asked me today, we were just talking about my writing. He has been following me for last few years, and he was commenting that he liked my articles. And his question was, are you planning to do it full time? And I actually don't want to. I don't want to do anything full time.
Yeah.
In few years, I just want to do whenever I want to do, and more value addition rather than thinking if I do this much, I will get this much money back or something.
Exactly.
I don't want to do that.
You do it for the joy of it because
Yeah,
writing
right.
fuels your creative fire. And I think if you end up doing it full time, then that feels like more like an imposing, you're being forced to do it. And that kind of sucks the joy out of it.
And honestly, for me, writing and now videos, both of them are me playing with the Lego blocks. So you know how you connect multiple Lego blocks and the color combination, sometimes the piece combination, and when the story is done and published, you feel exact same type of joy that
Yeah,
you get when you make a small Lego block or big Lego block. And that's so
I agree. It is fun. It's a lot, so one of the side things I enjoy doing is photography and cinematography. I got into it as as a side project in my previous job at Universal. We were doing a talent show, and so I purchased all this equipment. I taught myself how to do cinematography, and I understood about timing and creating B-reel rolls and composition of the frame and storytelling. And I really enjoyed it. It scratched that creative itch that I had. And I want to do more of it, but unfortunately, my professional day job takes up most of my time, so it's hard to do that. But I hear what you're saying. Is to me, it's if I have the freedom to do so, I don't want to be forced to doing. I just want to do it because I enjoy it. That's something I would look forward to in retirement or whenever I can do it.
in terms of planning and tracking, you're helping the entire company. All the IT projects are managed by one of your team members. So you're absolutely excellent when it comes to the planning and tracking. How do you do that for your personal projects?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but the team does an amazing job and they make my job easier. And so I'm grateful to them for that. But yeah, I think, you, in order to do a good job, being a planner, a portfolio planner, a project planner, you have to have something of that at home. And I'm the planner for everything in my household: vacations, social engagements, and family projects. And they kind of expect that from me, so it's fine. I enjoy it. I think for me, how I keep track of it at home, I don't use any kind of particular tools. I keep a journal. I have multiple journals, as a matter of fact. I try to create vision boards of, where I want to see myself retirement wise and things that I want to do. And I just keep it very low key, low effort in terms of planning for my goals and being able to write it down. There's something about writing it versus, typing it out that helps to really synthesize the information. So when I use the journal and I kind of write out my goals for the year and in the areas, it helps. And then I like to draw. So I do mind maps. And, when I'm looking at my life and I'm trying to design my life and kind of recalibrate where I'm going, sometimes I'll do little mind maps to say, okay, well, what's going to inspire me next? And that'll help me to kind of generate some ideas of things that I want to try differently, not just from a professional, but maybe something to do with my family or ideas to help improve my, physical well-being as well.
For me, writing on a paper or designing my life on a paper, it feels so good. But what if once I'm done, how I'm going to protect it, how I'm going to save it for future? Yeah. What I have realized, though, in last 2 months, that I was preserving those 2-hour activity or 1-hour activity that I did 2 years ago. What I'm doing now is starting from scratch next time and trying to see what future hold for me rather than keep looking at what I have designed 2 years ago.
I see. So for me, I actually feel the opposite. I think using electronics, I'm always afraid that I'm going to break my laptop or I'm going to get some kind of virus or something that'll wipe out my content. So I'm always worried. I feel like if I have something hard and tangible, like a notebook, that I could, from there I could hand it off or pass it on, from a legacy perspective. But you're right. You could easily lose a notebook, you misplace it somewhere, or it gets damaged by water or something. So yeah, and the truth is, I think, I don't know where the notebooks I have created from 2 years ago actually are, to your point. But do you feel that, what you started designing 2 years ago, have you changed a whole lot? What you originally were planning from 2 years ago? How much has your plan changed?
My last 5 years was drastically changed. Everything changed. My perspective about my life, my perspective about what I want it to be and what I want to be now has changed a lot. Now, if I look at the financial and family, those probably have not changed that much, but my own aspiration, for example, when you're in your early career, you have this set goal that you will be senior, you will be manager, you will be director, and who knows what. So my next thing was a director. And when I became a senior manager, that was the next thing. And I started deeply kind of reviewing what I'm missing, like the leadership presence or executive presence and presentation skill. And those was daunting thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through coaching and I went mentoring with Barrett, coaching with Nikki, and I have an EAP engagement as well. So I've done a lot of things just so I understand who I am and what excites me more. And I've an activity that I did where I went back to like 20 years in my life and I started thinking, what are the activity that I did? And I started with that journal thinking, I started my blog and I left it. I started this website and I left it. I started this company and I didn't go to the next level. But then once I done with this activity, I realized that these are all the dots where I keep going back to writing.
Yeah, writing.
My high school to winning a gold medal in an essay competition, to my first blog, to my next blog, to all the activity that I've done. So somewhere I see that connection. And then on top of that, not just writing, it's the result or the mind frame why I do that writing.
Yeah.
or why I take so many pictures, why I take so many videos of we going to travel or in office or anything, right? It indicated that this may be something that I'm want to do versus what I was thinking in terms of the vertical ladder of becoming a director or something. So yes, my perspective has changed, and I am not planning big in terms of what 10 years will be. What I know that in next 5 years, if I can, I want to uh, identify and do more of that, and probably be part time.
Yeah. I know exactly where you're coming from, because the same, has occurred with me as well. As it's not so much a corporate kind of ambition that I have, climbing ladders and stuff like that. And if those opportunities come, that's great, but that's not something that I'm shooting for. Um, and I look at the things that spark joy, those activities that I do either throughout the day or things that I used to do growing up. And like you said, for you, for writing, for me, it's always been around the arts and the visual. In high school, I did a fashion show, and I drew my own designs. And my grandmother taught me how to sew, and I sewed my own outfits. I always wanted to be a fashion designer, but my mom said that won't pay the bills. You need to don't be a starving artist. So after I got my computer science degree, I actually got an AA in graphic design, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the photography, doing photoshopping, working, in Illustrator, and creating a lot of designs. And, part of that is there's still that creative itch that, I still work on the side. I'm not sure what I can do with it just yet. That's why I'm still doing a lot of mind mappings and trying to find, where can I correlate those things that spark joy and the things that I enjoy doing into something that either it's full time or something on the side that brings in a little extra money. I'm not quite there yet. I know I love creating presentations because it gives me an opportunity to create visuals and put a story together visually. But like you, I know what I like to do. I just trying to figure out how do I incorporate that into my journey from where I'm at right now.
And then the purpose of doing all that.
Yep. Yeah. How can I extend my talents into providing value to the world, to the organization, or to anybody else, and bring value.
Speaking about the last 5 years, when we are in the college, we have a purpose. So school give you purpose, college give you purpose. When you're in job, you have a purpose. Every day, you know what your deliverables are, for example, or even in the career ladder, kind of the purpose. And which is great, right? Which is great that half of your life is kind of planned. You gave you purpose, but at some point you start thinking, right, what beyond this?
Yeah.
One day you're going to retire, or one day you're going to change job. And that's the hardest part. When you start thinking about your passion and purpose, that's where you kind of get lost in the thoughts. And it's really take deep effort or looking deep within to find these things. And I think the best way to do is to just keep watching your energy level, keep watching what you're enjoying, just the activity that I did 20 years. What are the activity that I keep going back to that give you a passion? And then I do know purpose right now, but it could change later.
And that's okay, because then you're evolving as an individual, and you're learning and assimilating new things. And so, of course, life is not a straight linear line. It goes and branches off in different things depending on what you decide and choices you make.
You do journal. That's how you identify what your next goals and things are. How frequently you track your goals? Are you tracking like monthly, quarterly?
I think it depends, on how I'm feeling, or maybe there's certain things that that happened that, caused me to kind of pause. Um, I do try to at least look at, where I'm at on a quarterly basis. For example, on my anniversary with my husband, I'll look at, how are we doing? What do we want to change in our relationship? Are we on the right track? We've been married for 20 years now. I've known him for 26 years, so it's working. But beyond the anniversary, we do check in and touch base, and the same thing with my son on his birthdays and on school milestones. I'll reflect and say, well, am I doing what I need to do as a parent? Is there something more? So maybe it's not on a set cadence, but usually certain things or events will trigger me to kind of reflect back and say, okay, am I doing all that I can do, or what can we do to improve? But I probably would say maybe it's on a quarterly basis, because that's when a lot of these things typically happen. End of school year, or a holiday that will cause me to pause and reflect. Professionally speaking, it's those I look at it, definitely on a birthday and on probably a little bit more frequent cadence, because half of our lives are dedicated to being in the office. So, I'm always kind of looking at myself and saying, did I have a good day today? What did I accomplish today? Did this activity spark joy, or am I feeling like I'm just going through the motions? What can I do to improve that? So, yeah.
Me and my wife does this yearly activity that sometime in December or January, where it started as the yearly budget, is sprinkler into the goals or long-term goals. And now we just finished the yearly, and I'm encouraging her to let's define next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We set something yesterday, and she already is seeing the pressure. Can we do this actually?
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying earlier, this activity happens on a physical notebook.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been doing for like 9 years now. Touch wood. Many of those things that she has wrote, we able to accomplish together.
That's great.
So now, initially she wasn't that sure about setting goals or writing something, but now every time we do this activity, she's excited.
That is great. Yeah, my husband and I, we look at things from a financial perspective, and we have a financial advisor, so they kind of force us to make sure that we are financially revisiting our goals and our milestones. So that's very helpful. And I think from that perspective, we've been able to keep track of things using electronic tools. But you hit on something. Do you and your wife look at each other's kind of vision and plans together, like as far as your journeys, your growth, your professional, your health and family journeys, or is it mostly from a financial perspective?
So it started with financial, but then we started adding some of the dreams that she has related to either achieving something or travel, or, for example, a few years ago, she said, I want to get into this type of house.
I love that.
And I think with this 5-year planning that we will do, we'll cover something that we haven't done, that each area of the life, what's the big thing for me or for her.
I love that, 'cause that's one thing I don't currently do is share that plan and kind of my goal and my approach with my husband. From a financial perspective, yes, and then from our relationship perspective, we touch base on that. But beyond that, hobbies, professional passions, and stuff like that is not something that we have typically shared together. We know each other's interests and hobbies, but that's kind of it. But that's a great idea.
Here's the thing, big secret. And I was planning to create a video on this. If you want to kill your dream, tell that to your wife or a spouse. They know you for 20 years, in my case, 21 years.
Yeah.
They know everything about you. They know your traits. For example, if I tell my wife about YouTube, and I haven't told her, but she find out, right?
Yeah.
She see what I'm doing. And she had mentioned it a couple of times. It's a midlife crisis.
Do you know how long that middle age crisis left?
Second, she said, you probably have seen some videos that these YouTubers are making money, and now you're trying that. So they know
Yeah.
what you have done, how long you will go. So some of the thing I also try not to share.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
this YouTube thing is I've not shared with my wife. I've not shared with my family members.
You have a really good point, because earlier on, and before I had our son, we had our son, I wanted to open up a wine store, and I had all these ideas of entrepreneurial aspirations I wanted to do, and I shared it with my husband, and he poo-pooed it, like, that's will take too much money, or there's other places like that before, and I'm like. And meanwhile, these stores popped up and they became pretty successful. I'm like, see, I could have done that. But anyways, that's beside the point. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Is sometimes they're overly realistic and maybe a little bit too pessimistic. But yeah, I know they look out for the best interest. But yeah, they could kill the dream.
And I guess we need them to be certain way, like. For example, in this case, we have our own scares, right? We're not sure whether or not. And when we see something like this, you immediately get a excuse.
Yeah.
Right. Even if this person was not there, you could have been in the same situation. So what I have been trying is not to share with anyone. So if I don't do it, I have no one else to blame.
Right. That's true. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Our mind play big games with us. Example, when I start writing, and even with the YouTube, when you make something and you hit the publish button, you have so much scare in your head, and your mind is telling, what if somebody find? What if they find you grammatical mistake? What if, are you even that expert? So you hit publish, you fought with all this, and you hit publish, and then a week later, your mind is telling, nobody's reading this article. Why are you writing? Nobody
Isn't
gonna
that
read,
funny?
right? Because, and I tell my mind myself, so isn't this a good thing? Because a week before you were saying people will find out, people will tell you, and now nobody's reading, so there is no harm in publishing more.
Right.
Right? But mind is tricking us all the time.
Yeah, you have to be able to work with that inner critic.
Right? So, well, I know I've taken a lot more time than I originally planned for.
I don't mind. It's a good topic and a great conversation. It's something that I'm always thinking about. In fact, I was thinking about it this weekend. I was looking at my goals and my aspirations from a professional perspective, and thinking, how do I start living my life with, more purpose and providing value to the world, and am I doing things that I really enjoy? So, no, your conversation, this meeting was perfect timing.
If somebody can listen to whatever we talk, there's so much value in it.
Because I know you and I are going through a journey right now that so many other people are going through as well. It's a very common theme. A lot of people think about it. So I think, if anything, those that do watch this would know that, hey, you know what? I'm not alone. And a lot of people have the same challenges and thinking as I do. We do.
And if you don't figure this out, and if people don't figure this out, they're going to figure it out in their 60s, when they will not have this much luxury and flexibility of doing something on their side that can be lifelong.
Agreed. Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you so much, Leilani.
Yeah, thanks, Vinod. I appreciate the time and love sharing this topic with you. And I'm, like I told you last time, if anything else, you have any other questions for me, I'd love to talk about it more.
Yeah, I would like to reconnect. So let me plan out that, and then we talk about that topic then.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.